Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Auction for the Soul. This week's Parsha is Parshat Devarim, and Parsha begins. This is the fifth, the last book of the 5 books of Moshe, and it begins with Ela Devarim Asher Diber Moshe El Kol Yisrael Be'ever Hayarden B'Midbar Ba'arva Mul Suf Ben Pa'aran Ben Tofel V'Lavan V'Chatzor V'Di Zahab. All right, so Parsha begins with these are the words that Moshe speaks. Now we just have to, be mindful here that it wasn't too long ago where Moshe says, "Ani ish v'lo dvarim," I'm not a man of words, and here he is now. He has his own words. This 5th book is a repetition. The word Devarim over here, okay, are the words of Moshe, and this is all a repetition of everything that Moshe taught to the Jewish people. This is the last 37 days of his life. His life is coming to an end. He's already looking from the Jordan, looking into the land of Israel, and he's getting them so close. This is a 40-year process. A leader who had a dream of taking his people to the promised land, fulfilling God's promise to Abraham, and here he is, ready to go ahead at the brink, bringing in the Jewish people into the land. And what does he do? What does he do here? What do you tell the people that you've been with? You've been a leader for so long. In today's day, when you have a leader who's been there for so long, aren't such favorable words used to describe that kind of a leader. But Moshe was a little bit different. Moshe over here, he's using his words. Where is he having these words? He's having these words in the Midbar. Midbar, Chachamim point out, I've said this before, is Midaber. The desert is a place that speaks to you. How does it speak to you? How do you find God? And you hear this, by the way, from so many of the hostages who were freed. They said that it's in Gaza they found God. In Gaza they were able to keep Shabbat. In Gaza they kept kosher. In Gaza they were able to develop a relationship, a speaking relationship with Borei Olam, with God. How does that happen? When you empty yourself out of all the distraction, which is why I believe God wanted the Jewish people to travel through the desert. He brought them to a place of emptiness, no distraction. And in that space where there's nothing but the vastness of space, the vastness of the earth, the wilderness, no gashmiyut, no materialism, no distraction. It's there, in that space, that God goes ahead and gives humanity the ability to find God, to find the ultimate source of all of creation. So we know that Moshe uses his words very carefully. He has very weighted words in this parsha. He does not directly speak about the sins and the failures of the past generations. He is very careful about how he's going to rebuke them. But no question, Rashi notes that he alludes to the sins, talking about the golden calf, the spies, but he doesn't say it explicitly, but he delivers this rebuke with a tremendous amount of sensitivity and love. These are words have a tremendous amount of weight to them, but the purpose is not to shame them. The purpose over here is to awaken, to uplift, to inspire them. Words should be a mirror, not a hammer. Words are there to help go ahead and help a person look within themselves. There's a famous story of the Chafetz Chaim who was at an inn, and he was I guess having a meal there. It was a kosher place. And this older guy walks in, someone else who was Jewish, and he's all very boorish, unsavory character, and he's screaming at the waitress, speaking to her inappropriately, asking her for duck and whiskey, and he's barking at her. And finally, he gets his meal, he scarfs it all down, drinks his whiskey, and now he's speaking even more inappropriately with this woman. And the Chafetz Chaim is bothered by this, and he gets up and he walks over, and this waitress who sees him says, "Oh my gosh, I gotta stop the Chafetz Chaim. This guy is this boorish guy. I don't want the Chafetz Chaim to get help." So she goes over to the Chafetz Chaim and says, "Please, whatever you do, don't get involved. Let this guy's, he was taken as a child into the Russian army, and he was raised by the Tsarist army. He had no midot, no Torah, no nothing, but he still identifies as a Jew, and I don't want him to hurt you. He could hurt. I've seen him hurt other people." Chafetz Chaim says, "No, let me speak to him." So he comes up to this guy and he says, "Oh, is it true that you were taken as a child?" And he goes through the whole thing, and he's opening up words, and he says the most beautiful things, like the fact that you still identify as a Jew, you're greater than all the people that have been tested with their Judaism and your faith, and you're a soldier of God, and like totally broke through the boundaries with this guy, was able to go ahead and impact him. He didn't come and attack his character. He highlighted all the things that made him special and great. And when he was able to first see him as a human being and recognize his unique challenge and tests and not judge him for anything, it's then this person began to tear up and became a student of the Chavetz Chaim and did teshuvah and became one of his closest followers, right? Moshe teaches us to use memory to grow. We don't think about the past as a way of destroying ourselves. It's not about feeling despair. His final words are rebuke, are not just rebuke. They're an invitation for us to rise, to become something more, to build, to create a new society, to take responsibility. Moshe sees that the Jewish people are going to the land of Israel and he's not going to be there forever. A great mentor, teacher, recognizes that his students, are going to need to have support when he's not there. No matter what Yehoshua would do, there would be a loss because Moshe had a deeper understanding of the flock, a deeper understanding of the people. We know that the Gemara in Ta'anit says that the decree of exile began with Lashon Hara. When the Jewish people heard the evil speech, the negative report of the spies, right? That is where the Jewish people began their exile for 40 years. Not with the golden calf, interestingly enough, but it's when the spies report, that's what was super destructive. The sin of speech is repeated again, right? With baseless hatred, sinat chinam. These are destructive words and judgments. This is Tisha B'Av, this Saturday night, Sunday, right? We mourn how words, careless words, cruel, divisive words can destroy temples, can destroy communities, can destroy people, right? Tisha B'Av is a portal to do teshuvah, to reflect on how when we are unable to see the uniqueness of another human being, we not only destroy the bridges between people, but we destroy the bridges that build and maintain society. Rabbi Sachs says that we are the people who do not forget, because through memory we redeem. And what he means is that, like, when we look back at all of our mistakes, all of our misdeeds, right, we're trying to become something more. Words can be weapons or they can be wings, right? Moshe's words are not a burden. Moshe's words are a gift. They were used to transform ourselves from national mourning into personal meaning, right? Tisha B'Av asks us to refine our speech, to honor our past, to build a future through love and truth. Right, that is what Moshe wants from us. Right, he uses speech as a way of creating a legacy for us. So why does Moshe wait 40 years to speak to Am Yisrael in this way? The new generation needed to hear the story not as a history, but as a unique opportunity. There's no word for historia in Hebrew. The word for memory in Hebrew is zechira. It's personal. It is part of my identity. The journey of the Midbar shapes them, right? The journey is a powerful ability to go ahead and have the Torah engraved on their souls. Rav Kook says that a true education is not only what is taught, but it is what is lived. It is what is reflected upon with wisdom. That is what true chinuch is. When it's, I had a principal named Rabbi Schwartz who said that the Torah should be inscribed on your soul and in your blood, right? That's what we want. We want it to be a part of us. We want to use these teachings to have the Torah engraved on our soul. Moshe is no longer the legislating, mentoring. He is pleading, he's blessing, he's doing everything he can to give over this deep lesson that the laws, the tenets of Judaism should be inscribed on us, meaning we have an opportunity to rewrite the code. Right? He's not here speaking as the ruler, right? He is speaking as our mentor, as our friend, our coach, who wants us, like the conductor who is passing the baton to the next generation of players. You have over here, he's asking us to take responsibility for our future. He understands that failure is part of the journey. When we feel like we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, that's okay. The sin of the spies, the golden calf, all of that, it's okay, right? We take the wrongs, the misdeeds of our past, and we use it to grow and develop ourselves into something more. There is a failure is turned into the opportunity to create wisdom and insight. Each person here has their own symphony to compose. You have your values, your voice, your legacy, especially here, right? Even in the desert. And I would argue that we are living in the greatest desert in history. This generation that Moshe is speaking to, 37 days before he dies, before he leaves the world, they were called the Dor HaDe'ah, the generation of knowledge. They lived in a world of truth. They still had challenges. We live in a world where there is no truth anymore. We don't know what is true anymore. We're so confused. There's so much, fake news, so much deliberate, unnecessary information out there, disinformation they call it. We have lost truth. But it is our job to hear Moshe's words, to carry the melody that he left behind for us in a place of barrenness, of nothingness. We have the Torah, we have the book, we have his message. We have the ability of taking it even in the desert, maybe especially in the desert that we're in right now, to bring the deepest Torah. That is where the Torah is born. The Torah is born when we're broken. The Torah is born from a place of despair and hardship. The month, the Tisha B'Av, the month of Av that we're in right now, we say Mishnichnas Av Ma'atim B'Simcha. We diminish our joy. We don't let go of our joy. Joy, Simcha, happiness is the fuel, the energy we need to grow. We recognize that we're imperfect beings, like Moshe does so beautifully and eloquently in this week's Parsha. But we also dream about a better, greater future. We use our imagination, we use our free will to choose to take the wisdom of the desert, the experiences of our lives. We create a time of silence. We recognize that the struggle and the solitude that we find ourselves in as Jews right now gives rise to a tremendous amount of clarity. May Hashem bless us to use our Devarim, words, our Diburim. And Tisha B'Av, it's a time of isolation, of being Yoshev Badad, of sitting alone in solitude. Maybe together, if we find that time to really look inward by going back into our past, recognizing our struggles, our misdeeds, imagining a better, greater future, I have a strong suspicion together, Bezrat Hashem, we'll be able to bring Mashiach B'mhera Be'amenu. Thank you so much for listening. Bezrat Hashem, we'll continue the conversation next week. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.